So we join back in with our adventurers and the Call of Astera. Last week, the group delved further into Dante's personal issues and how it might affect them should he ever lose control of the beast that lies dormant within inside him, or maybe not so dormant anymore, as Dante is finding out. They also received an invitation from the Glass family to be sponsored by them in the upcoming Doomhakre. Upon having this meeting, they got the very good deal of being able to take all of the rewards should they win. It is a big should, because they are using a slower vehicle and a less effective racing engine, but nonetheless, the agreement is made. After which, Aileni and Volu were able to drop off Volu's cloak to the
weaving contest.
to the government admin building for the weaving competition, and Beecham and Ichi received a message to meet by the brass pole at the evening's announcement. They head down there now.
What time abouts is it, Liam?
So the actual announcement starts at like 7. It's like sundownish. It sort
I
of
thought
like
it was
begins
earlier than that.
No,
Right
so the
now.
parade, So but we at the end of last we sort of jumped forwards with obviously you've gone and done the cloak stuff.
Yeah.
They've started building. They've started doing some work on the
On the
car, and during that time you received a message. So it's probably about 4:30.
Okay.
5 p.m. You've got a few hours, and Ichi roughly knows the brass pole with which they're talking about. As we described last week, there's almost like metal posts sticking out of the ground at points that they now they serve as almost memorials at point. People leave flowers by them, but back in the day it was almost like chaining posts, or like the pillars that held up some of the upper levels of the Colosseum. And there is one that's it's not brass, but it's rusted down to that sort of brassy color, which stands out as a difference to all the others. But yes, you've got a bit of time.
Okay. I think if we do have some time, I would like to head back into the market. If it's, I mean, I know it's festival, and
it's right by there as well.
Is it chaos though in the market right now with the?
To be fair, right now a lot of the attention is on the parade, and I actually no, it would be. You were thinking about it. The parade should have arrived at the base, and it should now be. While people might not be shopping as such, there will be a lot of people down there. But the market itself might not be too busy, just because the focus is and looking on the map, you know that the sort of the stage area has been sort of set up on this southern, well, it's the northernmost, because for your reference, this map is north downwards.
Oh Jesus! Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's upside down.
That has really
through
me.
It made the most sense to draw it this way, but then also when I realized and looked on the thing, yes, north is basically straight downwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
We've it's because we've gone over the mountain, and like now
yeah. It's also just because there isn't a compass on the.
I need to add that on. That's coming.
We need to add it, but honestly, it was because I said the bloody banner was on the north side of the Colosseum, and I was like, wait.
Yeah. All my fault though. Sorry, guys.
But you know that the stage is outside of the bloody banner in that northern section, in that northern grass section, and so it might be that there's some people been pulled away from there, but it will have a lot of people in the area. That is just.
Well, I think I want to go and have a look at if there's any weapons, specifically if there's maybe some kind of magical weapons or arrows. Anything that I can throw that might go boom, that kind of thing. So
Okie dokie. So
What about
that's
everyone
what.
else?
Is anyone else heading down with Aileni, or are people wanting to do other things?
I'm not around, am I? Because I went with the professor guy.
No, so Ichi and you went with the professor. So you were with Ichi when Ichi got the message. I don't think Aileni and Volu have come back to get the message that the meeting is in a few hours. So
No.
you were, because Ichi came with you to do the
Yeah,
cargo.
no, I knew that. I just for some reason thought that came when we were all still together. I didn't think we'd actually shipped and moved.
No, when they Aileni and Volu were off dropping the cloak off.
Okay.
So for Volu, are you planning to go with Aileni to the market, or do you have anything else that you wish to do before you head back to meet the boys?
I think he would just stick to Aileni like a. Can't even think of an analogy. What he'd stick to her like
A web.
like a
Like a moth to the
substance
flame.
like glue.
A moth to a lamp.
Just every now and then stepping away and smacking into them
Yeah.
like a moth.
But yeah, after he's still quite shaken up from his dream, so he's kind of just gonna be a bit clingy today.
Oh,
Question, Liam.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't entirely sure. You know how we said if we had armor regardless takes up a slot, doesn't it?
Yes. So you know that he would have told you that the armor its benefit is almost relative to the size of the vehicle, because if you put too much on, it stops moving as quickly. So for yours, but also armor provides both a AC boost and a damage threshold. So using the mod for armor is both an AC boost and a damage threshold gain.
I'm gonna say to Ichi, like if we're choosing this other option, we're slow enough as it is. Don't think it matters about armor.
no, then we're going to be the last of their problems as we're behind them. They're going to be shooting forwards, not looking behind.
The grappling hook should be on a twist so we can move.
If we have both of them on, if we have it on a twist and a second one, then we can almost, like how monkeys move through the trees, of launch one, grab, pull forwards, and as we match, we launch the other one, grab, and then we use that momentum to dislodge the hook.
Almost like a spider car.
Kind of, yes.
As you're saying this, Thaddeus, but I've been thinking about the mechanisms as well. So obviously, if it sticks in and you've pulled it, that's great. But it should be that you can yank free. But if not, there is also this, and he sort of shows you that. So essentially, the hook the grapple hook shoots outwards. But the actual reeling bit, if you imagine that's like a machine underneath the actual shoot, the ballista bit.
Yeah.
And the bit that like is going to reel it in.
Like a fishing rod, you've got the rod and then.
Yeah, and the piece underneath. As you look at the piece underneath, he shows you that when it's so you've got obviously on one end the hook, at the other end when the cable is fully out, it can be just pulled straight off.
We can detach the rope itself.
In case the hook is too embedded in something you have destroyed, I am thinking if you blow something up, you don't want to be attached to it anymore.
Yes.
I can only make 4 of these coils, though. So once you have detached it, you will need to replace the coil and the hook, as everything will away. I can show you how to do that. It is not too complicated a process. So mechanically, it will be an action if you have to do this. It is a action to try and pull it out, or an attack. So it takes 1 attack, if that makes sense, rather than the pulling it out is a strength It'd probably be an athletics rather than a save. Ripping it off can be done as a reaction by the shooter, but can be done as an action by anybody. And replacing it is an action for anybody.
So, question, another thing, like mechanically, because I'm trying to think, is the thing to pull it out the same thing that is kind of meant to be the thing that pulls us forward?
No, that's where the winch is. The winch. He's had to make the hook durable enough to the winch, right? So for you to forcibly unhook it, you're gonna have to, while winching it, yank as well and provide a decent enough force that you can pull it out because they will be lodged. The reason the dislodge needs to be there is literally because if that car has crashed and you're passing them at 40, 80 or whatever, a turn or whatever, you might need to, so as you don't just rip it off and let it go.
Going to ask, is there a way of kind of like having it almost kind of like one of those hooks that opens and can close?
He says there's nothing really. It needs to be puncturing, and he sort of shows you, and it's basically like, so there is a point, but also the hook is like bent so that once the point punctures, it will like hook it.
Yeah, I get the design. I was thinking of a more of a kind of like it's a point, almost like a bullet.
Not in the time that you've got.
Okay.
Also, we'll have no way. Like I was thinking about this, but there's no mechanical way of making that work because obviously, if it's in, it goes in and then opens and then locks in. What do we do to make it retract?
That was what I was asking. If there's a cable that goes to it, it would be just a button. It closes.
Yeah, but if that would require electronic.
How would
that is too difficult to build. A simple design that releases itself, yes, but not something that can be controlled and decided upon when. Another thought, obviously, so as I said, I can make 4 of these coils. If you have 1, you have 4 replacements. If you have 2, which is possible, but you only have the 4 replacements. The coils are actually much harder to make than the ballista. Your other option, obviously, and he sort of shows you. So right now you've got the driver's seat, which this for a general, or most of the cars have a dipped driving seat, providing half cover to the driver. Right, that's just generally standard. You sat down, right, and like this much sticks out. For you guys on the back right now, it is just stripped. So if you imagine an open flatbed, we could provide armors or other weaponry even. I don't know if you want to go on the offensive.
Offensive would be better for us.
If we're defensive, we'll have nothing to defend against because they'll be long gone.
And we will have other plans.
Well, I've still not finished with the main chassis yet anyway, so probably let me know by tomorrow. Maybe decide with the rest of your group which it is.
Cinder smoke engines.
Yes.
You have one in here that I can just look at. I know they're all different.
I messed around with making one, but Sis doesn't like it.
Is there? I know they're all shapes, sizes. I know that they can come in some with large exhausts, some from high, some from low, whatever. But do they have a general weak point? A tiny little rat size hole, you may say.
Nothing that is definitive, but I mean, hitting the main block is better than hitting the exhausts. Don't be fooled if they have large exhausts sticking out the side of their vehicle. They're hitting those, all of the gunpowder is spent by that point. You want to find their fueling tank where they refuel, or even the main engine block, usually. And he will push aside some sketches, but it is his own design. And he's like, for example, if you sort of look at this is a cinder smoke engine inside one of our cloud coaches would look like. And he sort of, you can see the outer sketch of the cloud coach. He says, no, our cloud coaches are quite protected for the benefit of our guests, but the real only space for the engine would be here. And he circles like in the center bottom of the car, or of the Aether Stream vehicle.
What happens if, say, their exhaust gets blocked?
Now that could be bad, but it would be. You would have to jam something in there well and truly. Now, fire just in general is not great for these things, and the more you can damage the engine and the area around the engine, the more likely a small piece of gunpowder gets loose and now I do hear, and he will actually no, he says, I did hear about one of the entrants, but I do not know their name. Apparently they have something, they're claiming it is a marvel in technology. Some company from out in the out in the far Xenagath desert. Their name escapes me right now. Something wind. And they'll just keep sort of like plugging away at what they're doing.
Downwind?
I don't remember. But like I said, think about it and let me know by tomorrow. I will start fixing the grapple first. It is worth having a think about your options.
Thank you. Yes, we will certainly think about it and get back to you as soon as we can.
But yes, and then if the two of you want to start heading down, none of you have like sending or message or any such thing. So I think especially after about an hour and a bit, you know that Aileni said that they wanted to go do the cloak thing first, but then they wanted to look for maybe some items to help them in the race. You could safely assume they have headed that way. From your position up on the Zenith Ward, you can look down and see the crowds of people. If you imagine sort of like looking down onto a festival gathered around one stage, there doesn't seem to be anything on the stage going on particularly. There's people milling around and stuff. It's almost still that setup period. But also, as you sort of look up and see the sun, you know it's going to take you a good hour to get down there anyway. Unless you cloud coach it.
We'll cloud coach it.
Yeah, just for speed, really.
And just so I can get used to at least the feel of what like these things.
Well, not you driving. But,
No,
if you want...
I'm still in it. It's the first time.
Yeah, true. As you sort of mention a cloud coach, Thaddeus will say, yes, sort that out for them, and just sort of speaks to one of their assistants who will have a cloud coach brought. And as you're sort of getting ready to get in it, they Master Thaddeus has dealt with the bill. Just let them know where you wish to go.
Oh, thank you very much.
The Sacred Isles.
Oh, ignore them, please.
Cost is being paid by somebody else.
Just down to the market, if you wouldn't mind. I believe that's where Aileni said they wanted to go.
Not a problem. And again, you are both handed glasses of freshly chilled water. You get your nice view, and the cloud coach begins its journey down the mountain.
How smooth is it?
Very smooth. It is so the cloud coaches as the taxis move slow. It's like you could definitely run faster than this. You could maybe keep up with it at a walk. There are points where everything opens up and it speeds up a bit, but again, the point of them within the city is very much leisure, and it still gets you down the city a good deal down the hill a good deal faster. Just because they sort of allow you sort of going with gravity, as it were. But it's very smooth. You don't feel any deviations in the road, like you're not feeling bumps. you do sort of notice that at there is a point. So like when you go down a ramp, it goes much further out before it tips. As you know, and you've talked about this with Thaddeus, the levitation can affect up to 10 feet, although it struggles up at that 10-foot range. So it's almost like the front goes out and it's like depleting the strength of the levitation, and then it dips at the point that it's the right distance for it. So there is almost, when you go down, there's almost like as you go over hills and into different ups and downs, there's definitely a rougher feel to it. But fairly comfortably, you're able to make your way down. You would notice that it seems kind of blocky in its handling, but also this one has like plates and literally like you're sat in comfy chairs, and it's got all the like the works in it.
Amenities, yeah.
But eventually you are able to make your way down to the market. Can Volu and Dante roll me a d6?
6.
3.
Okay. So you don't cross each other on your way down. And Dante and Ichi sort of begin to arrive towards the Crucible area and the Colosseum, where you can see the crowds of people. Ichi, you can definitely tell as you've been to a few of these, this is almost like this time when people get food and drinks and have a look around, and there might be some bards around, but they're mostly like building hype for their performance that's coming up on the performance day and the day of arts and stuff. You can see that a lot of it's not like the market stall has moved out here, but you can see a lot of what seems to be younger people that are carrying baskets of things, and that seem to, like they've sent their son out from the actual stall that's in Old Market with their best bits to go and, smooth the people or whatever. Probably not the best of best bits, but, some good stuff in there. Aileni and Volu, as you're making your way down and walking, both the Mythic Ward and the Forge Ward are quiet. Like it's almost like there are the occasion, as you move through the Forge Ward, there's still the occasional ringing of like a blacksmith that must have a job that he needs to get done. But there's not the same bustle in the streets. And it's almost got an eerie feel to it as you're making your way down through these very quiet streets. There's parts where when you go past where a parade has been, and there's just like bits of stuff all over the floor, and it almost gives that like abandoned city vibe. And as you are sort of cresting over this little section here where it moves, where you're still in the Forge Ward, but you begin moving down the dip again. So at the edge of the first shelf.
Yeah.
You look out and you can see the crowds and the Colosseum, and Volu. For a second, everything sort of spins. And can you give me a wisdom saving throw? Aileni, your swarm freaks out. Puts you almost on like defend yourself now. Like they get very aggressive. Now, no one's around you, and as you sort of begin to look, so I don't know how Aileni specifically, you just sort of get this feeling of like defend yourself.
I would react to that though straight away.
But so I don't want to describe your reaction, is what I mean. So,
Nat 20.
Okay, so Volu, I'll come to yours in a second. Aileni.
If the swarm freaks out like that, Aileni would almost be picking up Volu by the scruff of the neck. And moving us to the side of the street. She'd be looking for a wall, not to be in the open. She would be moving, and she'd be pulling out her bow.
Okay. Volu. This vision hits you almost like your dream, and often as you've had these moments, you've been very dazed and confused, and it's been hard for you to process bits of what's going on just because you've not really experienced them. but you've been thinking about it a lot today, and you've been thinking about how maybe actually you think you could have influenced it. You could have maybe had more control over the dream than you felt at first that you did. And as your vision shifts, and there's almost like two images laid over the top of each other, and there's that moment of struggling to focus on which one's which, and as you're suddenly dragged backwards, you notice that it's like the buildings and the walls all around you. There's this image over the top, and with that save, you focus on the image that is almost covered by what is real in there, and you get this flash of purple pustules and tentacles, tendrils of red, purpley, pulsing energy sort of crawling up the buildings, some of the buildings in ruins. And as you're being sort of dragged away from the edge, you can no longer see right down to the Colosseum, but there's almost like a purple glow from over the edge of the horizon. And as Aileni like pulls you back to the wall, and you sort of like snap, everything fades back, and your vision becomes normal again.
I would
Aileni,
be standing in front of him and like
yeah,
trying to cover him with.
And Aileni, as you get to this covered position, can everybody, and actually, interestingly, Dante and Ichi, you're fine. Actually, I'm going to ask for one anyway, but it's not. It's lesser for you guys, so your DC will be smaller. But can everybody give me a strength save as the whole city begins to shake?
Oh.
Nice one, Volu. Oh, that was a wisdom.
22 for me.
17 for Ichi.
22 for Aileni.
Oh, Volu.
Oh. Can you not give him the nat 20 with just a +1?
Oh, that was a whiz save.
Yeah, that was his whiz save.
Was that earlier?
That was earlier. So the earth and the city begins to shake and tremor. Now, Cadfesi and this area of the world is not. This is not unknown. The earthquakes happen, and especially up and around this mountainous area. But this one goes on for a little bit of time. Down in near the Crucible, people are panicking, right? Like this crowd of people. And while a lot of them know what to do, the classic thing of, I mean, they're a lot of them are fairly safe out in the open. So those of them that keep their heads are like, stay here. Some are rushing for securer buildings, trying to get away from the Colosseum that a lot of people are eyeing with unease. As it begins to settle, Aileni, you would notice sort of around you as you're sort of scanning, there are on some of the larger, taller buildings glowing sigils that are currently like brightly glowing on the side of that wall that slowly begin to fade as the tremors stop. It looked shieldy. You imagine that some of these buildings are reinforced magically from.
Okay, so it looked magical sigil rather than language.
Yeah, it looked like a magical city. And as you look around, there's a number of the taller buildings that, as it gets past the third and fourth story, a lot of those buildings have these sigils on them. Can both Volu and Aileni make me arcanas? Dante and Ichi, down in the other area, people start to panic, and you would notice you are rocked. You spill your glass of chilled water. The driver's like, "Oh, sorry, hold on, guys, we should be safe in here." And they sort of pull to a stop as the... as everything settles, what would you be doing? As you were looking out through that whole thing, everyone seems safe, nothing's falling down. What would your initial reactions be?
My water spilled.
Ichi's probably gonna be looking around. How did it feel like for Ichi?
I mean, your side, you obviously you were more experienced the earthquakes around the eastern side of your tribe's trek down the Azure plains.
Yeah.
When you come up up the side of the mountain, it didn't feel crazy. It wasn't like you're not like, oh my god, that was weird. It's like, okay, it's past. That was pretty. You know, it was one of, you know, up there with some of the worst that you've had, but it wasn't out of the ordinary. And it, you know, it happens as things settle and each is looking around. You would hear a number of guards and a number of other, you know, you even hear like some of the politicians and some of the more figure-headed people in the crowd start saying, "Don't worry, people. Small earthquake. We will wait in the open areas in case there are aftershocks, but we should be fine to continue with our festivities. For now, they sort of like announce to people to sort of be bringing out food and bringing stuff out into the open area. You notice that a lot of the market stall people, they're sort of tentative about going back into the sort of haystack of, and the market stalls have taken some shaking and mostly superficial, but you can see people sort of start returning to picking up their wares off the ground, and you know, someone stands up a board and they replace their stuff. And but so each and Dante, sorry, what would you do as the driver sort of says, are you both okay?
Yes. I think it might be worth us getting out and walking.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, we are pretty safe in here. You know, it's armored and there's nothing above us, no buildings and such. I can pull us a bit further away if you want, but
Why? This is faster, and we're safer in a flying car than we are walking. Do you have to go?
Okay, that's fine. We'll stay. I feel more comfortable being connected to the ground, but
We can go.
no, it's fine.
Dante
Yeah.
stands up.
I'll put a hand on your shoulder and bring you back down. No, it's okay. Ichi's going to lean out the window, looking up the mountain.
mm-hmm.
Any rocks?
There seems to have been some like snow disturbance and some debris towards you. Actually, as you would look, you think potentially there might be some damage towards the edges. And to be honest, and you can tell that maybe the guards are thinking the same. There is a more guard presence heading towards the mines than there are like the buildings in the area. It's the edges of the city that probably felt that worse than the central areas.
Ichi's gonna lean to Dante. What if we made one of our modifications spiked wheels that'll grip better? Because then we could use possible disturbance up the mountain to our favor to knock other vehicles off.
You don't have wheels.
Shit. What if we use spiked air? Now we're thinking. Now we're thinking, Dante.
Ichi, are you all right?
No, I'm not. I'm shaken, literally and metaphorically.
Are you hearing voices again?
Someone keeps describing the environment to me, and it's freaking me out, man. I'm in the vehicle, and I just keep going like, and you see this individual pull over the car. So I know I'm in it. Why do they keep telling me?
Imagine if we all
just put the hand on your shoulder.
They said roll initiative.
But yeah, so for Aileni and Volu, Aileni, right now you are like adrenaline. You are not really thinking about anything. Over the minute or so, over the minute or so, you will calm down. There's no one around you. Like a blacksmith down the road pops his head out and is like, you both okay? Nothing seems disturbed. Volu, on that, as you were looking at the glow, like those shields seemed like at max. Like it held, but it was getting brighter and brighter the more the earthquake went on. And then it's sort of like it died and faded again. It doesn't make you feel easy by any means.
I think Aileni would very slowly straighten up, sort of lower the bow. Are you okay?
You saw that, right?
I saw everything shaking. My little friends weren't very happy about it. What do you mean?
Did you see purple and flashes of red? And did you see purple or red?
No, I did see some magical signs on the buildings that seem to be glowing a little bit. I imagine that's how they're still upright and not in bits on the ground. But
Yes, that's probably what I'm saying as well. I that's probably where I saw them. Yeah.
Liam, insight.
So we have Volu roll away.
18.
Where are we? Insight. Where are we?
Yours is deception.
That's the one. I would have preferred if it was insight.
Yeah, you're much better at telling people are lying than doing the lying.
15.
I think maybe we should get further down the mountain. But let's get somewhere safe.
Yeah. Let's keep on moving and yeah, get out of this more building-y area and get somewhere more open.
Okay, so Aileni and Volu are able to make their way the rest of the way down. Ichi and Dante, the driver takes you over to the main area, but sort of stops and does say, like, I'm going to wait here. You can get out, but if you get out and look, you see that the guards are sort of still saying to people, like, you can go into the area, but maybe be careful. As Aileni and Volu arrive to the grassy area, you would see the main section, and you would be able to see Ichi and Dante sort of standing around the cloud coach that they were in. And as this is happening, there's suddenly a thaumaturgic voice. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to head over to the main stage, President Alar Moonshadow will give his speech to set off the Grand Ascendancy Festival. People start to there's a bit of a murmur, but then people do start to okay, yeah, let's go. As there's going, please do not worry. We have brought extra clerics from the temple from the Andonite temple. So if anybody is injured or hurt, if anybody feels uneasy, please go see one of our brothers of Astera. And there's definitely still some unease, and you would see sort of for Dante and Ichi, you would see Volu and Aileni. The crowd begins moving that northwards, away from you. If you imagine you guys are currently down here by the market, and the whole crowd begins moving towards the stage that's maybe 300, 400 foot northwards. Okay. You're muted as well, bud. The hand sign worked, though.
Yeah, I raise my hand and I gesture for them to come over.
It was more immersive, don't worry.
We would wander over.
Gotta think about the podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was purely because my microphone was actually muted.
Yeah.
So yeah. But as you guys come over,
you would see that Aileni is almost holding herself back. It looks like she could walk much faster, but she's purposely staying at Volu's speed. Yeah.
All right.
He's got little legs.
He's got little legs.
As you approach, are you two okay? Did you feel the earthquake?
Yes, we did. That wasn't good. Was it just an earthquake?
Quakes are
You're
common
saying
in
this
the
more to
area.
Ichi than to Dante, probably, but are you sure that was just an earthquake?
There was something about it I didn't like, but I can't say for sure. I know it's not gonna do much, but just for thematics, Ichi kind of like takes a knee, puts a hand on the ground, and I'm gonna pulse out a divine sense, focusing on the earth and into the
Okay.
ground.
You put your hand to the earth and you pulse out that wave. Seems fine. Seems clear.
I can't immediately feel anything. But like I say, I didn't like it. Why do you ask? Did you get a feeling?
I had a warning just before, and I'll sort of look down towards my chest where the moths usually hide inside my coat. They
Put the
were
mic a little bit
not-
up higher because you're quite quiet.
Sorry. Yeah, my friends were very unhappy about that. They gave me a warning just before the earthquake hit.
Right. Volu?
I suddenly felt like everything was spinning, and yeah, it was strange. It felt like I was in two places at once, and it didn't feel normal.
What do you mean it felt like you were in two places at once?
Volu, if you saw something, you need to say.
As this is happening, the almost again the there's almost a roar of the crowd, and you all look and see that Alar Moonshadow is stepping out onto the stage along with Elder Kale Stonespeaker, and there's like a host of like attendants and political figures that sort of come onto the stage with them as they begin their speech. And Ichi almost sort of you get a message in your head as Aileni is sort of saying this to Volu. That it's just like you do know the brass post is over here, yes?
Yes, apologies, we were just reconvening. Be with you in a moment.
I hear him say that.
Yeah. You're both, you and Volu, is it?
We've been contacted by, oh god, what's their nickname?
Madam Oracle.
There we go. By Madam Oracle.
God, why don't you remember these things?
Well done, well done of you.
And we have no evidence of Chris ever
You will get your revenge very quickly.
Is it-
I have no
Yeah,
doubt.
exactly. I was just like, it's not hard, is it?
So long.
one day.
Cut to
one day
30 seconds
soon.
later.
What's my character's name again?
We've been contacted by Madam Oracle. We're meant to be meeting them just over there.
And so you do know that the brass post is on the northeast side, so sort of over this way.
Let's walk and talk.
Yeah, you've got a good 300-400 foot to walk. So there's time for you to chat before you finish.
It's only 20 foot.
Yeah.
Oh bloody hell! Less than 6 seconds.
Yeah.
This is a really small city, damn.
Yeah. You're all Godzillas, did I not mention?
Oh, could you imagine? Though?
People have been
That's
screaming
funny.
and running in terror the whole time.
Kaiju campaign.
The earthquake was actually just us walking.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool though, a full like kaiju campaign.
Yeah, I would turn
Volu?
again to Volu and just say, I know there's something you're not telling me.
Volu's annoyed that the topic has gone straight back to I was hoping the distraction of Madame Oracle would put you off for a little bit. Because
It
yeah,
did
he's
for 6 seconds.
really perturbed by what he saw and doesn't feel like he can share it. But
Dante, if he's in the area, I mean, his insight and his perception is 9, so pretty rubbish. But if I can tell that at all, I think Dante would walk up to him, put a hand on his shoulder. It is okay, my little friend. You speak when you need to. Nobody needs to hear it before you say. And just nods at you. And then walks past Aileni.
You would get a look from Aileni. No, I know it won't fuss him at all, but you'd get a proper look from Aileni.
No, actually, to be fair, you'll get a look back because that,
yeah, I'll give a nod to Dante and go, do we have to talk about it now?
No, we don't have to talk about it now.
If you're uncomfortable about it, then we will give you a moment.
I'd rather do it when we're in a more secluded place.
Of course.
That makes sense.
Right. Are you
get
ready
to
to
this
meet
brass
Madame
house.
Oracle?
Yes.
Oh,
Let's
dear.
go.
Okay, so you begin making your way round the south side of the Colosseum, and this side doesn't have a lot of people on it. You can hear the echoes. Alar Moonshadow talking about a prosperous year and a greater year to come under the reign of, and you can hear the echoes coming from the other side and the cheers every time there's a pause. And as you make your way round, you come in line and can see the brass post. And there is currently a very nicely dressed, very rich looking human family sat having a picnic right under it. The picnic is spilled all over the place, as you would expect from the earthquake, and you can see the mother seems to be picking things up. There are 2 children that are currently still clinging to their father's legs, and he's sort of calming them. It's okay, it's okay.
We'll kind of walk past them and stand in proximity of the.
As you get close, the mother will look up and say, "Oh, my dears, are you well? Are you okay? You weren't injured at all in the in the shake?"
No, luckily we weren't. Is everyone okay here? The children okay?
Yes, they are fine. They are fine. Now, well, go on, take a seat. Take a seat. We have drinks, and we were told that you would be coming.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you very much for the invitation. And Ichi will cross-leg and.
Everyone, give me an investigation as you approach this scene. As you're approaching, the father sort of says, "Kids, the announcements have started. They're going to do, fireworks and stuff. Why don't we go and look at that?"
Investigation 7. Ichi's just walking up, sitting down, not paying attention to anything that's there. It's just oh, cool.
9 from Aileni, yeah.
16 from me.
24 for Dante.
Nice.
Insight and perception, not my jam.
Yeah.
Investigation, all me.
And Dante. So the rest of you, you just see this family. The kids are like, yeah. Let's go see the fireworks and stuff. And the husband starts to nod to the mother and say, "Dear, I'll bring us back some food. I won't be too far away." And she says, "Don't you worry. Head on off." Dante, and you only just saw this.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Only just saw what?
Lingering silence
Dun, dun,
as
dun.
Liam types a
Oh.
message. This
This
message is
poor-
brought to you by
Yeah.
no one. We have no sponsor. It's just us. Watch more of our content. Please and thank you.
This pause has been brought to you by 1 in 20 and our great DM's preparation.
Yeah, of course.
This pause has been brought to you by 1 in 20 and our wonderful DM not killing Chris's character after all the heckling that he gives him. A merciful
Yet.
DM, some may say.
Yet.
You don't want my character to die.
Oh
You don't-
no! Oh,
You
son
end up. You
Literally
end up with
yourself a character that if they die because you annoy Liam too much, we suffer.
I think he had the whole thing planned.
This was
I've
Chris's
literally
plan all
got-
along.
I've got the BBEG
I was
like
gonna say,
inside me.
We made all of those jokes about in the previous campaign, Chris being the BBEG, but now he was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Oh yeah, well it's what happens.
I wonder what happens if we banish him.
Mhm.
If we banish Chris or the character,
I mean, either. Both.
Both.
both is good.
So the mother sort of says, "Yes, my dear, no problems. Food, anybody? You, my dear boy, you look absolutely famished." She's sort of talking directly at Volu as she
Oh, no.
there's like a cake that's sort of a bit toppled, but she like takes a slice from the non-toppled side. It's like like as if they've been pushed on one side, so the slice is less of a slice and more of a slump. But she offers up a slice of pretty nice looking cake.
Can I investigate the cake?
Yeah, I mean you can take it and
It looks delicious.
and take. How are you investigating? Yeah, what are you doing?
Checking for any dubious contents of cake.
Okay, give me an investigation.
I've got
They
pictures
said
in my head. Like,
And Aileni, what are you doing as Volu just like inspects through the center of a piece of cake?
yeah,
Ichi has just sat straight down.
I am not sitting down. I would position myself behind Volu and Ichi, almost as if I'm a bodyguard.
I want
Okay,
to
Ichi.
I want to do a perception, please.
Yeah, make a perception. This
I got
cake,
19.
This cake looks lovely. Like you find like 3 layers. There's like an actual fruit composite layer. The like jams and such. There's cream. It's looking like a tasty cake. Dante with that they seem it's just you don't see anybody else in the area. The entire crowd is that way. Even all of anybody that stood within 50, 60 feet of you are looking towards the stage. There is like other
outside.
So you guys are this right down here at the bottom of the Colosseum. There are other families. If you literally imagine a festival where there are people that don't want that crowd, but they want to see it and they want to hear what's said, and there are families and older people sort of set up at further out, and there may be the closest one of them is maybe 50, 60 feet from you. But other than that, the majority of the people have gone to the stage, and you can hear them. Alar Moonshadow is currently like listing off the great achievements that have been made under the rule of the Lyrixan Arcanum, and now further achievements to be made, but under the Verdant Circle of the coalitions of ideals, and it's going on and on. It's a big old speech.
Volu's at the height of paranoia, so although it looks delicious, he's just gonna lean into it and just go like a little to see how it tastes.
I love suspicious Volu.
I've got this picture of this cake that was a slice of cake, and it's now just this mushy mess because he's like run his fingers on, and now he's licking it.
And Dante, before I come to Volu and his journey with the cake, what is Dante doing?
That's a side quest we need.
Journey of the cake.
Dante is, to be honest, probably. I don't think, based on how, especially Volu and Aileni know Dante, probably not much difference. He's standing. He's not sitting. He's not taking a drink. He's not taking any food. He's stood kind of similar to Aileni in bodyguard almost position, eyes fixated on the mother.
Okay.
And literally just keeping a strong gaze on her. I'd love to say he was trying to be kind of not obvious about it. I mean, his deception's not, persuasion isn't actually bad, but he's just there staring. I'd imagine anyone with a strong enough perception or insight might be able to tell I've got something, including her.
Oh yeah. And they smile back at you. Stand if you wish. Volu, the cake is tasty as fuck. Like so good. And I'm actually gonna ask for a wisdom save from you. This isn't actually magical. This is just Volu really loves this cake.
Take a con save, that shouldn't it?
No, it's his willpower to not go back for the spoon.
19.
Okay, yeah, so it's purely up to you. It tastes really, really good, but there have been times you've blacked out and woken up in a bowl of raspberry jam.
We're not supposed to disclose this information, all right?
That is key backstory information.
Those are the hidden diaries, okay? Volu would kind of like just pick a little bit off with his finger and occasionally put a bit in his mouth, enjoying it, but still being extremely paranoid of the situation. But the enjoyment kind of flickers the paranoia away because the cake is just that good.
The positioning and demeanor of the mother changed slightly as they were sort of kneeling and doing this very like sitting position, as they then sort of slip back and slink into a more comfortable position and say, "Now, I'm so glad you could join me here. I am assuming that this one is Volu." The voice is now distinctly Madam Oracle.
The one enjoying the cake, yes. Or trying to not enjoy the cake, because I side-eye this like internal battle of Volu being like, no,
I will let Torch know that you enjoy it. He does love knowing his food did not go to waste.
Oh, with Volu around, that will rarely happen.
And
Don't
they look over to Aileni. I have not had the pleasure.
Nor I.
Madam Oracle, you understand the need for deception in such a public space.
Absolutely. Aileni.
Lovely to meet you, Aileni.
Speaking of, is this location, obviously I understand that you've chosen it, but it feels a little bit out in the open. Is everything okay since last we met?
Oh, yes, my dear. Do not worry about those things. Everything is absolutely fine. Openness was more to put you at ease.
Oh, well, we thank you for your courtesy. What is it that you would like to speak to us about, as your letter seems to give off the idea that you have something that you would like to propose?
Yes, well, first of all, I wish to ask Volu, if it is amenable, I wish to ask just one simple question. And if deemed truthful, then it is of not a moot point.
Mid-bite was like, okay.
They look over the shoulder, and you'd see them whisper, and the very obvious cast of message. And after a moment, the husband arrives with a fairly short, old-looking dwarf that looks very nervous and a little sketchy. I was like, thank you. And as they come over, they bring it's almost like a weighing scale made of completely platinum. And they set it down very gently. And the dwarf is like paranoid. Eyes to you, eyes to the mother, eyes to the father, eyes back to you, eyes to the object. And your insights would pick up, it's like, this is his precious thing. Like, he is very suspect of why he's been asked to bring it out. That's the vibe you're getting. The mother, sort of, Madame Oracle's like, Demetrius, please calm down. I am not. You are fine to continue with your work. Demetrius here is quite skilled at bonding creatures and other things to objects. This object here has I don't know the specifics, but it has a sphinx within it. Anyway, anyone who knows about sphinxes, and those who don't, she's going to tell you anyway. Sphinxes cannot be lied to. That same property transfers itself here. So, Volu, my only question to you is, do you intend to use what you saw on that in that box against me or my organization in any fashion?
No, I don't have it. I wanted to throw it as far as I could see it. I didn't want EG to open it to begin with.
Don't think I did.
They look down, and there's no movement from the scale. There's a pause, and then there's almost like Madame Oracle looks to Demetrius to be like, "Is that it? Like did it work?" And Demetrius like, "Yes, they are telling the truth." And marvelous, great. We can get on with business then. Be rid of him now. And Demetrius is
Pulls
like,
out sword.
yeah. No, Demetrius like scoops up the item, and the husband sort of puts an arm round and takes them away.
Do we
and-
recognize Demetrius at all? Because we spoke to some dwarves at the different dwarves.
Oh yeah. No, they seem to be fairly well dressed. If you imagine, they look of noble standing, but like they don't look after themselves. So they're wearing the finest of silk, but it's also not been washed in over a week. So it's like they definitely don't care for themselves, but they're not. They have money.
Okay. Not the ones we saw at the pub then.
No, different, much older than that. Maybe like coming towards the sort of 300, 350 age. Long grey beard, or this almost hunched over, almost like you're not decrepit, but like lots of joint issues and bends in the fingers and thumbs, and an older dwarf to be sure. Madam Oracle just switches straight into, well, yes, I did have a way that maybe you could repay the debts that you have to me. Obviously, for Volu and Aileni, my business was never with you. As long as you do not intend to work against our organization, then there should be no issues. Though, if you want to maybe get in some good favor with ourselves, and I do have a proposal for you. First of all, Volu, I understand that my associates might have been a bit rough with you the other day, and with maybe yourself as well, Aileni. I do not know. I can only apologize for the rough-handedness of outsider contractors. Um, eh, if just over there, and she points out to the west side of the so on this map it is the left-hand side, but the west side of the court that is like, so you know that the Colosseum in the middle, there used to be buildings here. The catastrophe that happened at the Colosseum that put it to ruins wiped a lot of the buildings in the vicinity, and the gardens were built as like a memorial as such.
So that
She
would be the
points
east
out.
side, Liam, the left.
Sorry, yes, it would.
Sorry.
Over towards the east side. And she points over towards the edge, and right at the edge there is a fairly tall building with a bunch of figures stood on top of it.
Oh, I don't like this.
You can't really make out the figures at this distance, but they are distinct. Like, you can't tell that they're features, but it's close enough that that is distinctly a bunch of people stood on a roof.
Liam, are they
yeah.
are they like in a bunch as if they're just stood up there to see things that are happening and they're chatting, or are they lined along the edge of the roof? Like, how are they grouped?
There is maybe one or two in a line, the rest look grouped.
Okay.
Now, I unfortunately don't have much control in who picks up the contracts, of course, and I did not realize that you were such good friends with our associate Ichi here, or I would have handled it a more delicate way. If you would like, and it is your decision, of course, but we can fix that blood for blood if you wish. No flicker of it in like there is, and for anyone inciting, factually means it, didn't bat an eyelid, is just offering you the chance to take your own back.
Oh,
I
yeah, I didn't like it.
I accept your apology. However, as you can see, myself and Volu are both alive and well. I do not see the need to take more than I have given.
And Volu?
Kind of runs his finger over where the blade pierced. No more blood.
Oh. Yeah, I was holding my breath there. Wow.
Kill them.
Yeah. Well,
That was the intention.
yeah. Very well. What are passive insights? Sorry, I know that
14.
Ichi and Dante are below 10s, so
Yeah,
Inside, I'm
no,
13.
you're 13.
I'm on a 14.
Yours is a 9, right, Dante? And 16 for Volu. You would pick up almost a flick of disappointment. But not in like, oh, I wanted to see some bloodshed. Almost disappointment in you guys. And I think Volu, you haven't been around this world enough to sort of understand what that meant. But they were definitely for a moment like, shame. Like, that's not who I was looking for. That sort of thing. Fair enough. In which case we can organise a monetary compensation if you wish. I wondered if you were available to race in the Doomhakre under our sponsorship, of course. We have a vehicle that we have managed to procure. We are just in need of a team to operate it.
Aileni's just going to look at Ichi. It's like...
Is anyone trying to hide it? Because their insight is also quite good. So if they pick up the like awkward moment,
I don't think I would have even thought about hiding it. I would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
straight away just eyes straight to Ichi, like, oh.
Yep.
there is a
I don't
the-
think they. I don't think Dante would have reacted, but at the same time, I don't think he really massively cares.
yeah,
So it's that kind of being like, oh,
yeah. You would sense the awkward moment and just be like, I sense maybe you are already in the race.
That we are and already sponsored.
None the matter, then in which case I have a secondary proposal. I did wish to be the car that won the race, but there is a racer, somebody who will be competing. I believe they're in a memento.
I swear to Christ, if she gives us the name of like the gnome driver.
The Glass family. Oh,
They're
No,
like
the Prime Minister's son's a racer.
they're genuinely like pondering for a moment, as they reach out a hand, and you've seen this before in the other places where unseen servant has handed them something. A piece of paper appears, and all of you are with it enough to know that there is somebody invisible stood there.
Yeah. I've kind of thought that from the beginning, not an unseen servant. Just a literal.
Well, so
unseen
the unseen servant. So in their home, it was an unseen servant.
It's more than when they lean away and whisper.
Yes, when they were doing that bit for sure.
They have both an unseen servant and an unseen servant.
Yeah, a note appears, and they take the note. Thank you. Barter, Barta. They are a halfling riding on, I believe it is the Desert Hopper. That is the name of their ride.
Does that sound familiar?
Not to me.
Cool. Good.
They are an interesting team, actually, part of a group called the Grey Wind Aether Company. They are a company out of the far west deserts who are basically trying to become the glass family of the Cinder Engine.
the new technology.
Well, yes, using they have 4 of the racers in the race are actually using their build. Some of the other competitors have bought one from them. They themselves have 2 races in the Desert Hopper and the Sandstorm.
What about them interests you?
We could do with them falling off their ride. Maybe around the crevasse would be the best, but certainly not in the first section of the race. Now, if you were able to do this, we would consider our favor dealt with.
Dante's eyes will just quickly dart to the back of Ichi's head, and then back to Madame Oracle.
If we were to take on this deal, I suppose, would it be taken on with no set guarantee? Like, we will, obviously, I'm guessing if we fail, the debt is still there and we'll be given another task. I'm more interested in, if we fail, will there be any repercussions?
Oh no, nothing like that. As she's saying this, there's like almost like somebody getting their attention, and Pip is also informing me that the Sandstorm that I just mentioned, the other vehicle that is in the race, if you could get that one to crash in the same hard to reach and hard to see locations, that would also suffice. But no repercussions. Simply, yes, you would still owe the debt. If you could get both of them to crash in that area, I would even provide you a little bonus.
Well, I
Madam
suppose
Oracle, sorry, I am going to jump
Okay.
in and interrupt. You mentioned monetary compensation earlier for the unfortunate attack on myself and Volu.
Oh no, sorry. To be clear, they were saying monetary for doing this because they can command. In their head, they were thinking about you being the racers, right? So in their head, they were like, "We can ask Ichi and Dante to do it. If either of the other two are going to help out in this job that I'm offering, we will offer money."
No, no.
Ah, okay.
Oh, not
I
the fact
took it that instead of us having them thrown off a roof, they would be willing to give us money or something in return.
No, that was almost just an apology. That was
okay.
like to show that I'm really, really gracious.
In which
Good
case,
faith.
I completely misread that. That's all
Sorry.
right.
Yeah,
I'll wind
same.
that back.
Now, obviously, this comes with no questions sort of deal. And obviously, afterwards, it should never be mentioned again, ideally.
I suppose with the race going ahead, this could be a task that we take on due to the nature of our competing within the race. We're not exactly going to be one of the faster racers, so we were planning on using a more destructive path.
That works very well for us. Now, I will say, if the sandstorm gets completely destroyed, its wreckage is useful, but not really what we want. Ideally, crashed out of the race would be preferable to exploded. Yes,
You
and they
prefer
are
the
definitely
engine?
Yeah, they want the engine intact.
Yeah. I'm sure we can try our best.
Wonderful. Now, I have been out in this sun for far too long. It's not even daytime right now. And they're like, Goro, shall we go? And the husband returns. The two children are now nowhere in sight.
Mhm.
And they link arm in arm and say, if you need us, please speak to the bard up in the Battered Brew. They're going by Jaxie at the moment, I believe.
Excuse me. Ichi will
But yes,
smile and stand.
Battered Brew is the one up in the Bastion.
If you wouldn't mind, just before you go, as it would be possibly more mutually beneficial, what are the chances of you being able to get some of the racer's palms grease to throw the race? The less we have to deal with, the more we can focus on the targets we need.
It is a difficult one. Most of the races, I don't know if you've looked, are sponsored by somebody else. It is often in the way of these races, not the racers that care. And we do not have access. They all want the favor.
Of course.
Now, I can tell you for the Sandstorm and the Desert Hopper, the Sandstorm is their new marketable product. They want that one to win. The Desert Hopper, we believe, will be more trying to take out the others, trying to be a shield so that their main car can win, or their main vehicle can win.
Do we know where these are being stored?
Each person is able to store them themselves until the day of the parade, the day before. I mean, the sign-up sheet has some details, but obviously limited. And yes, should I find anything, then I will let you know. And one last thing, friends. While it has been a wonderful, wonderful time with meeting and interacting with you all, and I appreciate you are all kind and merciful people, I am not. For example, I don't take people saying my name in the wrong places lightly. And they point over your shoulder, and you see one of the figures from the building over on the other edge of the and just
Of
Now
course,
that-
we understand that you have a reputation to upkeep. We are still forming ours, so we prefer to keep it neutral.
I will be clear, Master Ichi, it is not my reputation. The people I work for, do not cross them. Have a lovely day now. And they turn and walk away. Anyone looking back towards that building, you can see the crowded figures beginning to move away. And their second figure off the side of the building. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.